Welcome. This is Spoken Synergy. We've changed some things around. We've changed the set. We've changed the process. What Spoken Synergy is now about is whatever topics of discussion come out on this piece of soil, Wanjirabara country, on this timestamp right now, will be a frequency match and the Spoken Synergy that needs to be out there and released to the world, to you guys. So I now have a co-host. Angel's here with me, and we have asked our beautiful friends to give us some topics of discussion of which we know nothing about, and we're hoping that that stirs and sparks the right conversation around how we're going to spend this time together. We're here with Ryan from Mountain Peak Media. The three of us are creating synergy together. So let's see how this goes. We have no idea where it's going to go.
No idea.
The tangents are just infinitely possible. I'm so excited.
So I kind of know where it's going a little bit.
Ryan's the man who has the list.
Yes,
I've got some questions.
the man with the list.
This is a collection of questions from people that have. They're not so. They're not all like spiritually inclined. They're just. They're just questions that.
Nicely noted.
Yeah. So, the first one is, name a book that's inspired you and why.
Oh, juicy.
Off you go.
Okay.
You can have that one.
Where do I begin? My goodness. I think I have all the books that changed my life still on the shelf, just in case someone asks me for the right book at the right time. I went through a period of my life where I picked up book after book that did actually change my life, like raised my awareness. So some of them were, my beautiful partner gave me The Awakener a long time ago when I was living in London. Palladian download book. There were things in there that just resonated and sang to my soul. It was just the language, the way it was expressed. And I was falling in love with him at the time. So, of course, I love the book too. That's still on the shelf. Some other books that changed my life recently would be The Diamond Cutter.
Oh.
Very cool book. It's about a Buddhist that was in a monastery, was guided to, I think he goes into the depths of New York City and runs a diamond business on Buddhist principles. A business that meant nothing all the way to a multi-million-dollar business. And he ran it all on Buddhist principles. I absolutely adore that book because it was the first time I really heard money and spirituality were together and they didn't compete. Changed my life. And then I just started handing it out to everyone. Ordering it for people, as you do. And I'm just waiting for one more book to come through. There's been so many. Ryan?
Yeah, I've almost finished it, Heather. I'll get it to you soon, okay?
Okay.
My book.
Yeah.
No.
Your book of choice. Another life-changing one. I used to really find Caroline Mace's books really influential as well. So I've probably read most of hers. I've seen her talk. I've followed her stuff for many years. So The Anatomy of the Spirit changed my life. And she wrote one called Sacred Contracts, where she puts archetypes within the astrological houses and gives you a reading on your life of all the houses. You would love it. Yeah, you would love it.
Totally.
It sort of like puts some of the characteristics of who we think we are psychologically in these areas of our life. And it like, the experience I got from it, it reframed a lot of things for me and it made me go towards those archetypes. So there's some archetypes she would say that you can't get away from. The victim, the child, the prostitute. They're in your chart whether you like them or not. Even that part was like, okay, just own it. Just own it. And be okay with those parts of your life and where they sit. Like when they go into a house that represents a part of your life, you go, okay, yep, I see that. I totally see that. Let's just acknowledge and accept that and move forward. So they're just a few. I'm really interested to hear about yours.
Oh, okay. So I would have to say the most recent influential book that I've read that I thoroughly enjoyed was Existential Kink.
Oh.
What is asleep in your unconscious mind that is sabotaging this moment in time for you?
That's so juicy.
Yeah. And how is it connected to your ego? Whispering away that this is all that you deserve.
How have I not read this?
Existential Kink, I tell everyone.
It's a great title.
It's actually, you can use that as a healing modality. So when it was offered to me by a dear friend, even he said, you could just make this a healing modality all of its own.
Sure.
Existential Kink. And then the husband has his favourite book, which is the Celestine Prophecy
Oh,
books.
yeah.
Yeah.
Life changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not a book reader, so for me it's like, all right, apparently I can download an app called Audible. So here's me in my reluctance with technology to work out something that I can actually digest with ease.
So if you're not a book person,
No.
are you better off listening to information?
Yeah.
And
so
then
reading, I remember I read a book that I was so excited about, and I think I read the first chapter 3 times and it still wouldn't stay in my head. But if I listen to it, it stays. I don't know what happens to the words on the page, but they all move around, do their own little thing, and I've got no idea what's actually going on.
And it doesn't retain.
Doesn't stay.
Right.
No, the only things that stayed were things like, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. You're just in there. Part of it.
Things that are really important. Bye. Just bye. Bye. Not staying.
Okay.
But I found that with Audible, it would stay.
Interesting. Because I think you're a wealth of knowledge. You tell me all these things. And I'm like,
I've just got all of this useless trivia banked up.
But it's interesting information as well. But if it's not coming from books, it's coming from people and experiences and gathering data that way.
Yeah, watching lots of documentaries and things like that.
Yeah.
And real life experiences.
Do you think there's an element of not sure why it's coming through. Do you think there's an element of trust in where the information comes from? So I love that a person has sat down and written something. I imagine them in a little cottage, them in the book for years, and then
by the lake in the woods.
Yeah, that floats out into the universe and changes people's lives forever. But then if someone tells me information, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm just going back to my book now. But the book is something that I'm invested in because someone's invested so much in it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I suppose, I love the whole idea around reading, but for me, that's not something that I'm capable of doing very well. It doesn't work.
So it's different
Never
wiring.
has.
It is different wiring.
Even as a child, even in school, you got to read the book and pass your exams through English and all the things. Could not keep the information. Reading was very difficult.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people like that.
I've recently listened to George Orwell's 1984.
Oh.
And what I found is when you're listening, if you're not present with the words and the story, and you're not creating the story in your mind, it just washes over you, and that's how I felt. But if I sit and I actually listen, then it gives the same kind of thing as when reading a book. You're creating the scene in your mind.
Yeah.
So, and I think because today we're so drenched in information and stimulus that it's very easy for things to just flood over you. So that's why a book, it's like you have to sit down and be there, and then So I think it can be both ways. Both are valid if you actually listen.
Yeah.
If you're actually taking in the information from a conscious level rather than just a subconscious level, which I suppose works as well, but then you can't remember it.
Yeah.
You can't access it.
It's just trying to chase the words around the page. I don't know what my brain's doing when I'm reading the words.
Yeah.
We're all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's just this is really hard.
Yeah, yeah.
But the same book, done in Audible, I'm listening to it. Someone else is reading it in the words in the right order. It works. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Any other books from you, Ryan?
What books have I read that... The Camino was a really powerful book for me.
Camino.
Yeah, by Paulo Coelho.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful
Yeah.
writer, isn't he? I've
it's
read a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we walked it after that, so I was walking it with my brothers and my sister, and read it before we went, and it was just really powerful.
Ooh.
Interesting. Now I want to go home and read a book.
Okay, not yet.
More topics to talk about.
Okay. Sex on drugs or not on drugs?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh well, this is not a topic that I'm going to be able to talk about very well.
I've got this one, don't worry.
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about this, we also need to think about what substances.
Yes, they would all have a different
Is there a
effect on the body.
cocktail going on?
Mm.
What the environment is, right? Because I associate substances with different environments, like festivals and things. Are we talking about a tent? Because that changes the scenario for me.
Yep.
Different level of saturation of substances in the tent to make that okay.
Right.
Different than bed and candles and things. I think we could nut this out for hours. I mean, me and me. But at the end of the day, if it's someone you're divinely connected to, doesn't matter. Any of it, all of it. It's exploration. If it's someone you're not connected to that you don't love, I think the substances add a risk factor, but they also can take away self-consciousness and stuff.
What about performance and longevity?
It's all it's all exploration because different substances do different things.
Right.
So it can be like, whoa, this has put a whole nother lens on this situation, and this one again. So with someone I love, all of the above and none of the above doesn't matter. With someone that I'm not connected to yet, if I had the choice again, I would say sober is better.
Okay.
So you learn and you remember. Right? Yes? Because everything that gives you courage and takes away the awkwardness is also taking away your presence in it. So I think presence is really important, and I've probably got there through experience. I think just being present in it, no matter what the situation is far more important. But I don't do drugs anymore, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I tried when I was young, and it's just like I'm ringing 000. I'm gonna die. So I never had the opportunity to experiment with all of those because my body just says no to everything.
Yeah.
It's like have an anti-inflammatory. What's wrong with you now? I'm having a psychotic episode. Okay, you can't take anti-inflammatories either. So many things I can't have. Yeah. So I'm just
MDMA's out there.
Yeah. I just can't have anything.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if I look back at all the memories that I would like to wipe, or all the situations that I put myself in, and all the self-worth issues that I ended up in because of drugs, I just wish that I didn't spend so long in that portal, but it was necessary. But my body took a long time to finally reject it because I was stubborn. Yes. Ryan, what do you reckon?
Well, for me personally, sex is a union.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on drugs, it's very rarely that both people are in the same place at the same time on drugs. You know what I mean? Handling different things. So, you know, from that perspective, there's a disconnect. Whereas when it's natural and you're not on any mind altering substance, there's a purity to that.
Yeah.
And essentially,
good word.
It's like, well, what does sex mean to you? Because there are people who it is very physical. It's just how many women can I sleep with, and what's the physical nature of it? And then there's the actual union of it, which for me has always been what it's about.
Totally.
And not to say that I've not had that, but essentially that's what it's about. So sure, there can be an experimental nature, but if you were to go, okay, what's better or what's more true? Well, then, yeah, for me, it's just being totally there, and you know, I don't think there's a better drug on the planet that can top that ecstasy of two loving people expressing that.
Yeah, and I'd probably expand a little bit on that it's the union that's the important part, however you get there. Because you can get the same sense of union by just chatting for 6 hours one night or being on different substances. So I think the union's the important part. How you get there is like between two soul contracts, right? And then if I was coming at it from a different perspective, I would probably find the union first before I experimented.
Yeah. Because there's a safety in that.
Yeah.
There's already a level of connection, and then you can explore different states of being in that state.
Because sometimes the drugs also get in the way of finding the union.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, you're putting a big filter on, aren't you?
Yeah,
Just
you
like, I found it. I found the one.
This is great.
This is it. Whoa.
Waking
And
up
it's
the
a,
next
fucking,
day.
it's a fucking pillow. You're like, oh, shit. Which does happen. It has happened.
Dear.
Yes, it has happened. Not to me, but friends of mine have made love to a pillow,
Right.
thinking it was the best sex they've ever had. See? It's dangerous.
Okay.
I found the union. It was me all along.
Okay.
Good questions.
Yeah.
Our friends are doing all right by us so far.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. Okay, switching gears.
Oh,
Excellent. Here we go.
Mental health from a shamanic perspective.
Let's open that
Angel,
door.
that
you got
is
something for us?
interesting. Yeah. So for me, I always start with what level of problems is someone experiencing that gives them an idea that they have some sort of mental health issue, or what labels has Western medicine given that individual?
Yeah.
How did they come to that? How long has it been a problem for them? For me, my belief system always goes to an idea around what gifts are you suppressing? If we look at all the different psychic gifts, what gifts are being suppressed that kind of display like you're going mad? Yeah? It just displays now as like, I'm crazy, I'm hearing voices, I'm seeing things. I'm going to the doctor, give me another pill. I can still see things, I can still hear the voices.
Yeah, Western doctors, hey doc, I think I'm seeing things. It's not a really, it's like, okay.
I'm struggling to control these outbursts of anger and frustration. And, you know, for some people, when they're expressing rage, for example, if that's ongoing, it gets a classification somewhere. It's like, oh, you're having a psychotic episode. Why is that? Oh, you want to kill yourself now. Why is that? For me, I know for me personally, I want to dig there. What triggered that? Where did that come from? Are you hearing voices in that moment? What are you seeing in that moment? What's actually happening to you? What did you eat? How much sleep did you have? I need to know all the juicy details because I'm going to pull it all out. And for a lot of people that I've worked with and helped, it's very much now, okay, so you understand you've got a whole heap of toys that you don't want to play with, and you've put them in a lockbox inside your body somewhere because you were told that that's crazy stuff, or that's, you know, Satan's work. It's the devil's work. Don't play with that. That's not normal. The devil gave you that as a test. And now they're rocking back and forth in the corner crying, going, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Let's pull your toys out. Let's have a look what toys you have. Let's have a little play. Let's learn how to work with them sustainably. And then we expand from there. And it's like, oh, I actually don't need all the meds anymore. There's actually nothing wrong with me. I'm over here doing this thing now, and I'm actually not crazy. It's okay.
Yeah.
Sorted it out. I've exercised control and discipline and commitment around it. I know what it is. I know why I have it. Now I know what to do with it. And I don't have all my episodes that require some form of medicating.
Must be so powerful for them to just open that box of toys and for you to say, I've got toys too.
Yeah, you want to see mine.
And I'm looking, or like you're looking like you're doing life all right.
Yeah.
You're not rocking back and forth in the psych ward. You're actually like, I'm playing with my toys and it's safe. We just need to get them out. And that might be something that a parent can't offer at times.
A lot of the time.
Afraid.
Yeah, they don't understand it. I get the parents who are very open with their older children, even with their younger children now. But they just come along and go, I don't know what to do. What do I do?
There you go.
How do I help that? And I'm like, I like that. Can I play with it? I like that one. Can I give it? Just mould it and go, there you go.
Have fun.
Here's a whole heap of homework.
Very good.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you have any problems, give me a call. Just dial 1-800 the witch. We're good. That's the problem. Their head has rotated backwards. They're attached to the ceiling, and they're speaking in tongues, and I don't know what to do. Yeah, I'll be over in a minute. Hang on a sec. So
I'll send the team. Don't worry.
yeah, it's all good. It's under control. What about you?
Shamanically, mental health symptoms present as, I guess, little sparks of information for me to read. I'd be looking at emotional patterns and if there's any entity attachments. That'd be somewhere I'd go first. What that means is they are borrowing emotions that aren't theirs from their environment, and that's an energetic and spiritual situation, and they might have many different attachments on them at one time.
Oh, agreed.
The heavier the attachments, the more consent to those attachments and how strong they are means how much have they lost themselves within other people's emotions and other people's narratives. So what that presents usually is there's so many people in the room yelling at them. They don't know which one's them, which ones to trust, which ones they want away. So we have to start clearing that environment so that they can just work with their own narratives. Hopefully their higher self as well, but the ego's probably in there. Maybe mum and dad, depending on how old you are or how free of your inherited cycles you are.
It's always that.
We would also look at how many portals are open. Portals are there to understand if there's avenues of information to different frequencies and dimensional planes that are allowing frequency in. Classic example is if I go away and take a psychedelic, I will open up a whole bunch of portals so I can speak to many different frequencies at once, my higher self the thing. If I don't have the skills to shut them down, they stay open. Again, it's like 5 TV screens on at the one time. I don't know which program I actually want to listen to because I can hear them all, right? So portals is a interesting conversation. Stress and nutrition, that's not classically shamanic, but it's part of my belief systems. There are mental health syndromes and diagnoses that come from massive deficiencies in the body. One vitamin at a time, but all of them, we're looking at stress and malnutrition. That's the difference between I have gifts and I'm exploring my intuition and I am going crazy, I think I need intervention.
Yep.
Resources in the body.
Totally.
Yep.
From experience of seeing that play out, that is 100% true.
Yeah.
Like, there's a point where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this needs to be addressed on a physical level.
Yeah.
Because, yes, there can be other stuff going on, but if you are stressed and not eating right and your brain physically cannot function the way it's designed to.
Yeah.
And what that throws up then is a myriad of things that you could describe as mental illness.
Yeah. I think the classic would be low resources, add in trauma, no integration, no help, no one to say, let's get your toys out of the box and play with them.
Yep.
That is all the right conditions.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How many people in the psych ward right now do you think would be in that category? Or is it there are genetic components or do you think that it's all can be addressed on that level?
Well, let's put it this way.
I think it's a hot mix.
Yeah, it's a hot mix and a hot mess. if you went in there and jackpotted all of their resources, nutrition, relaxation, support, nature, sunlight, the whole deal, yeah? I think you would get an ease of everybody's symptoms. Some would have a lot of them fall away. Others would just feel relief. Then you would address underlying issues. Nutrition doesn't make trauma go away, but it can help you to integrate. You're still going to need to go back and connect all the dots and do all the things. So it's probably something that needs to be researched really well. But once you get into the system, it's like they just have the resources available to them to make sure people are safe. It's not about thriving. So to get people to thrive, it's actually very simple, but can be difficult to sort out on an individual level. Who do I go to? What resources do I have? Is that even an argument? Because people think they're bound by their genetics, their inheritance, their trauma. They think it's set. I'm broken forever.
Yeah, they just attach to that story. This is who I am. Now they attach the story to the identity, and that becomes really difficult then to shift. Because like, no, who am I without my story? You know, I need my story. Yeah. That makes me who I am. Totally. Don't take my story away.
Totally. Because we would technically have mental health symptoms.
Yeah,
the way we see things, hear things, the way we acknowledge different ideas. But the difference between, I guess, a symptom and an experience is how you view it.
Well, that's pretty much like in our society, there's points at which if your beliefs are outside of those, then you're crazy.
Absolutely.
And those points, depending on what time you were born in, what society you were born in, what country, what social status, those beliefs are constantly changing.
Yeah, the boundaries.
The boundaries. You can talk to angels, you can talk to gods, but you can't talk to aliens, like we spoke about with Rodwell. Yeah. And that's a construct that you've been given.
Yep.
And so if you I think it's like a situational thing. It's like if someone is rocking in the corner full of fear going, I'm hearing voices and they're not good and I'm scared, and then that needs to be addressed. But if someone's saying the exact same thing, they're saying, I'm hearing voices and it's uplifting me and it's telling me to go out and connect with the world and give, and I'm on this amazing quest, and it's all, then that in society is seen as okay. You know, but they're the same thing essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and my daughter even said to me a couple of weeks ago, she said, oh, I hear voices. And I said, well, we all hear voices, you know, and it's like this, even just that phrase, I hear voices, it's like depending on the situation and how that's received from a social construct.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's important to know that.
Yeah.
To know that we're in this bubble of where everything exists at the same time, and ultimately it's about your relationship to it. Yep. Your relationship to the voices, the guidance, whatever it is. Yeah. You know, and if it's working for you and you're feeling that you're on purpose and on path and your relationships are good and you're doing well, then great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. I think we just help people to go towards it, right?
Yes.
What did they say? What tone did they have? What were they wearing? Yeah. What was the outfit? Because that's really important. Did they say it angrily? What were they doing? Yeah. Were there any animals?
Were you scared? Did you feel good? They tell you to do good things or bad things?
What was the exact word they said? Oh, that's interesting. Can you tell me more? And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Need to extract all the information.
A lot. Give me everything.
Okay, I've got another one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get your perspective. This is my question.
Ooh. Oh.
I want to get your perspective on the power of words, and it's like, especially in the spiritual context. So, for example, the word shaman. You use the word shaman, right?
And it upsets a lot of people.
Okay, so speak to that.
Speak to that, as in explain that?
No, not explain yourself, but what's your idea? What's your understanding around the power of words? And when you use certain words that you know are triggering, or that you know people come up against.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to hear like how you manage that, how you work with that.
Go to the wordsmith for help.
I got this.
I'm like, because for me,
Yeah.
that word has a very distinct meaning, and I have a very specific understanding. Yeah? Number one, it's an English word. But everyone then connects shaman to someone who's a Native American medicine man. But shaman is just a word that describes someone within their tribe that is the healer. You know, they make the little potion out of the leaves off the tree and make you feel better when you're sick. You know, they see the dead people and talk in tongues to fix people. So I could call the man in church who puts his hands on to heal, I'd call him a shaman. Because in his tribe, in his community, he's that medicine person. Yeah, so for me, when I do, obviously I'm the one who comes up against it. No one should use that word, but it's English. Do you know it? Heather! I'm not the word person. I'm the picture person.
Me no word book today.
It's not for me. The words just no. I talk with a mouthful of marbles underwater, no problem. She don't want to come and talk to me face to face. Make the words. Make the words on the screen. Because I don't know what to say. She was here to be different. I can fix that.
Yeah.
She don't want to talk to me. She just wants to type. The wordsmith, let's go.
All right. So if we're deconstructing language, I find everyone has a different relationship to the words that describe the things that we believe we're trying to honour. So I meet a lot of healers that don't like the word healer. I meet a lot of shamans that wouldn't think twice about that word because that's their culture. I know a lot of people that are psychic that don't like the word psychic.
Oh yeah, I know plenty of those.
Some people like the word witch, but others don't. It's like, because the language set is borrowing so much, it's our relationship to it. And I think when you're not so attached to the identity of it, you can use words and they don't feel so triggering and so important. So for me, if you want to call me a shaman, call me a shaman. I really don't mind. I use the word healer. It feels better to me. That's fine. The shamans that I've worked with in other cultures, that word is just the word because there's no other word in their community, right? We've got many words at our disposal. We can use them at different times. I think other people's triggers are their own. If you've got a problem with the word shaman and I use it, that's yours. It's not mine. I use the word that feels right for me to try and describe the role that I am pursuing or trying to embrace. And it's changing as well. I always used shamanic practitioner because that's how I was trained. Does that make me a shaman? I don't know. Maybe today, maybe not tomorrow. Doesn't matter too much to me. But I can feel when the word is being used with attachment, right? And there's no judgment on my part. Most of us are being a shaman in our community at some stage. The shamans that I've worked with, they're all different. Some use herbs, some use music, some use ayahuasca, some don't at all. Some look healthy, some don't. Doesn't matter. It's they were picked in their community for a role and they're doing the role. Simple as that. We complicate things with our identity and our ego and our attachment to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because I think words, it's like there's a fundamental principle with communication, and the principle is when I make a sound, you interpret that sound with the meaning that you have
For that sound.
for that sound. Essentially, that's what it is.
Yep.
You know? And so when you're talking about a cup, it's like, yeah,
Cool.
got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cup
Yeah.
is that.
I would say
And-
mug, but
yeah,
that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
It's a
a cup.
beverage
and that's
vessel.
a mug.
Yeah.
You know, that you can understand. It's simple. when you're talking about concepts and then moving into spirituality, which is essentially the unseen,
Mm-hmm.
it changes, because now it's not just that's a mug, it's this is a concept, and now this is a concept of something you can't even see or
Yep.
pin down, or that moves, or that can change, or that can, so it's like that whole world trying to use language to describe it is always going to fall short somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I heard this beautiful thing, Eckhart Tolle, and one of the things that he said is you're trying to describe the formless with form.
Mm.
And it's never going to be it, but you can have fun trying, and it's like the word shaman is like, okay, when I say shaman, what does that mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they can have two completely different meanings to different people.
Yeah.
One can be triggering, one can be healing, and it's like, what's the word pointing to in the context you're using it? And really, it's like,
Look at you, she's going to explode. Words are her favourite.
but what's it pointing to? So if it's say pointing to someone who cares about the health of a person and wants to help them heal that, however they do, well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
The essence of that is beautiful, of giving, of kindness, of caring. And I think that the problem is that it gets muddied and tainted by people because they'll use the word from an egoic perspective, and then they'll say, oh, they were a shaman, but they did this and did that, and so now all shamans are fucked, or my relationship to that word has been tainted. So
Yeah, sure. And look, that's their story. I will just add on top before we move on. Angel and I have often talked about like the difference between a shamanic practitioner and a shaman is if you're willing to turn the role on and off. So shamanic practitioner would be, I go to work, I put the shaman hat on, I do my work, I go home, and I'm just a regular person. And we've been talking about how the shaman role is 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And it pretty much happened when I met Angel that I turned that 24/7 on, because we were sharing so much about the medicine, and all of a sudden we were working all the time. And then we were working together to figure out the energetics within ourselves, our lives, our community, the land, everything. And that's when a different relationship with the word came through. And I decided I'm not going to put the hat on, just going to keep it on 24/7. And that's my relationship. That's my private relationship with that word. And that's my 24/7. And that's almost like an internal consent to servitude that doesn't switch off. It's not just in and out of my lifestyle. It's all the time. Complete devotion. And that's got nothing to do with anybody else and what they think that word is about.
Angel loves it.
Good question, Ryan.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got a bit more time. Let me have a look at the... okay, here's another one.
Keep kicking that.
Yeah.
Okay, so speak on the love or hate of coriander.
I fucking love coriander. What is so wrong with coriander? Mind you, I've tried olives every possible way and I cannot come at an olive. I've tried to force myself to eat olives because all my friends are enjoying olives. I'm like, what is with olives? Maybe if I eat enough of them, I'll love them. Coriander. It's not an Asian meal without coriander. It's got to have something like that in it.
Yeah. I reckon coriander elevates in the right meal. If you had coriander, my goodness.
Try the Vietnamese coriander.
Yep.
It's a whole nother level again.
Yep.
But having a mother who's Asian, it's kind of given. It's in everything. I'm accustomed to the flavours. And my father's Dutch, so when he's cooking, everything's got sauerkraut on it. So I was just going from one extreme to the other, but that's okay.
I actually met a couple of English boys travelling, and one of them was allergic to garlic and coriander. and we're in Thailand. I'm like, you're going to have a really bad trip.
You were going to starve by the end of this holiday or this journey because everything has that in it.
Oh, I love it.
It's like, you know, you go to Thailand or something and you say, oh, yeah, I want vegetarian, and they can't understand that little prawns are things. They're like,
they're actually
vegetarian. Meat. Yeah, no. It's
not to them.
They
that's not meat.
They're like, yeah, vegetarian. You're like, no.
Because to them, meat is red. Everything else doesn't fall in that category, and they don't understand it. Like if I think about my family in Singapore and all the Asians, they're just like, what?
I'll tell you a funny story. I went to a Vietnamese restaurant with the mother of my children, my ex, and she was vegetarian. And so she ordered this noodle soup, right? And vegetarian one. She comes out, sits on it, she's eating it, she's like, oh my God, this is just delicious. Oh my God. She's smashing it down, you know, and then the lady comes out and she says, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like, how did you make the soup so nice? She goes, oh, that's the pork bone to do that, the pork bone. And I just was like, oh. And then she said, oh, I thought it was vegetarian. She's like, oh, no, it's vegetarian.
Because all their broths are made from a bone, usually, off an animal. And then the other thing is a lot of the herbs and spices, to give it that fullness or roundness, you either have fish sauce or belacan, or shrimp paste. So again, neither. So if I was a vegetarian, Asian would be the last food that I would go to. Because you can never guarantee anything. And if it's fried, they would have fried it in pork fat. So you ain't got no hope. You're dreaming. Make it yourself at home. It's not happening. It's not happening. Because I know in Singapore, because my family are Muslim, I'm not allowed to eat from Chinese restaurant. Not allowed. I can eat from the Indian because they're good at making vegetarian. Yeah, just cover everything in all of the curries, and you can't tell what it is, but it's vegetarian every time. Yeah, it goes with their religion. But the Asian, you might get a vegetarian dish, but they cooked it in pork fat, or it's a soup, and that soup is a bone broth from an animal. Yeah, and because it's a big can't have pork, the fat that they fry is ghee made from pork. It's like, no. Because even if you have something that doesn't have pork in it, it's cooked in some sort of pork bits. So it's forbidden for me to eat anything from that Asian. I can eat from this Asian and from this Asian, and we wouldn't really call it Indian Asian, but you know, it's from that part of the world. But I can't have from the Chinese. Not allowed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, it gets complicated, doesn't it?
I know, and I'm looking at like the steamed dumplings and everything that are sitting there, and I'm like, please, Mum, can I have it? No, because Asians use pork. I don't have pork.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's like, right, I'm looking forward to going home and hanging out with my Australian friends and have a roast pork and some pork chops. And...
Should we go out for some pork?
Yeah. Let's go to Three Little Pigs. Because while I'm near my mother, in amongst my family over there, it's like it's not allowed. They're not allowed to know that you eat pork. Don't tell anyone. Yeah. Yeah, because then I'll get all the shame that I allowed my daughter to have all that. No. And coriander, it's in everything.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Highly nutritious.
Coriander
high in
seeds.
iron.
Exactly.
You can use all parts of it. I love it. I think it's great. I think if you've got like a whole bunch of fresh coriander in the fridge, your culinary status just improved. It's like you can do...
Righto, white girl.
The first potluck that we had, I made this like lime and coriander chicken and these like little Mexican tacos, and with like fresh coriander. I brought them over and I was like, this is the first time I'm kind of meeting my friends. I'm like, who doesn't like coriander?
Just watching who. It's like you can't be my friend.
They all like it. Yeah, they all like it. It's good.
You are all worthy of my friendship.
Yes.
Now, it's okay. You're just looking to see who picked the coriander and left it on their plate.
And just gone, oh, sorry, your contract is out now.
I'd be that person at the party that if I didn't like it, I'd take it off and put it on someone else's plate while they weren't watching. Not me. I ate the whole lot. I don't know what you're talking about.
Should we have a coriander potluck?
I'm down. I'm down.
See who doesn't turn up for it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they're off the
they're
podcast list as
ostracised.
well.
Yeah.
They're out of the group.
See what excuses they make as to why they can't attend.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Juicy. All right, how are we going for time?
Yeah, we've got, I'd say another 10 minutes.
Cool. Okay.
7 minutes, and I've got a good one to finish on.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
So this
That's a nice
this
tangent.
is not so much a question, but it's more
A topic of
direction,
discussion?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The journey to living life as your true, authentic self.
Ooh.
It's actually very similar to the topic I would have finished on.
There you go.
Would you like to start?
You can start.
Where do I begin? The journey.
One step.
The beginning of my journey with that is, who the fuck am I, and what do I actually want out of this world?
Good
What do I do?
question.
Let's
Yeah.
start there.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think back to when I engaged with the process of that. I think it's an unfolding journey. I'm still learning things. I'm still surprised. I'm still scrapping the plan that was 6 months ago and starting again. I think there's an element of courage that needs to be a constant in the journey all the time. When my courage leaves, I go back into old patterns. Simple as that. I have to gather my courage again and take the risk. I think it is a risk as well. That's what it feels like to me. An ever unfolding risk. There are elements of it that are really scary. However, I would say my requirements are, if I'm engaged with the journey and in that process, I have to look after my health. Because when my health slips, everything slips with it. That's always been a constant for me. And I'm always engaged with that part of it. The other part is, I guess, understanding what part of me is conditioning and what part of me is just trying to break through that. That's a big part of the journey for me. So we were talking about society constructs and belief systems and things. I'm always negotiating. Is this resistance because I've been programmed this way? Or is this resistance because I'm about to be a little bit more me, and that's really exciting? And I just tinker on that level constantly. And I guess the journey would be a lot about the people you find along the way.
Yeah.
And how they reflect that. And who celebrates you in that authentic power and your truth. That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
And it can be a fundamental change. It's like if you start being your own authentic, powerful self and there's no one around, you're like, okay, that's how it needs to be. But then when people gather around that and celebrate it, you think, this is really fun.
Yeah.
This is going to be really fun.
Yeah. For me, the journey is very much, as I said before, first discovering who am I and what do I want, so I can actually embark upon the journey. Like, where am I going? What is my purpose for going there?
Yeah.
Because I need that purpose to drive me. I need to always be looking for me. I don't have the level of overthinking stuff like you do.
I can encompass all that for you.
Most of the time you're overthinking stuff and I've just got a hamster going around in the wheel going, whee! That's all that's going on upstairs. I'm just here in the corner having a great time.
Just listening.
I'm the one who hasn't been able to take any drugs or drink any alcohol.
Thing, it's like, well, cool.
Yeah! Life's great. This is so entertaining. For me, it's never getting caught up in the belief systems of others, which is really hard in the beginning to tear yourself away from.
Mm-hmm.
The family, the friends, the work environment, everything that is required of you to be a human in today's society. Everything that comes up as like a belief system, or to be a good human, you need to tick these boxes. So go out in the world and tick these boxes.
Yeah.
And it's been able to unplug from all of that and just go, how about no?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't. Just no.
Just no.
Just no.
Yeah.
I'm going over here. I'm going to do all this weird stuff. Why? Because it's fun.
Yeah.
And I really don't care what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Totally.
So all my experiences has made that choice really easy because I had to learn very young that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Period. Yeah, so I'm grateful for all of that so that I could get here and just be like 100%. I don't care what anyone thinks. Ever. I care about having a good time, about always going back to a place of peace and love and joy in my heart space and just being that beautiful, calm, happy person. Because I once used to chase all the excitement and then I got told that's not good for your adrenals. You're just constantly in flight or fight. Am I? Really? Is that what's going on? Is that what's wrong with me? Oh my God. Is that why I can't sit still? By the end of the day, it's like, oh my God, I can't move my body anymore. What happened? Okay. So it's just more understanding of the self and understanding that it's not up to everyone else to decide what's right for me. It's up to me to decide. It's never going to align with everybody, ever. Yeah? Because there'll always be someone in the background going, yeah, well, I don't think you should do it like that. I think you should do it like this.
Yeah, and plenty of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm slowly getting used to that on the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the conceptual nature of you don't need to care what people think is really nice until you actually start standing up and speaking out, and then you can actually see people uncomfortable with it. That's a strange reality to be like, oh, so this is what that meant?
So that's what it looks like from this side of the fence.
Yeah.
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 And balance.
Yeah.
Just balance with everything. Am I looking after myself well enough?
Yeah.
Does my body need anything while I'm on this journey?
Yeah.
Do I need to drink more water?
Yeah.
You know? What's actually going on? Have I got too much stress in my life? Are these the right people now? Are these contracts in alignment? Is this the right place for me to live? I don't, you know, what's going on? It's all part of the journey. Am I balanced?
Yeah.
If not, what's out of balance? We're going there first. How did that get to that? That's not sustainable. That doesn't help me on my journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a self-development journey, I guess. This beautiful motivational speaker said recently, and I listened to it, and I'm still digesting it really well. He's like, you want to be successful? You want to make a lot of money? You want to have a good business? Work harder on yourself than you ever do making money. And that hit me somewhere, and I went, yeah, absolutely right. Because you can see the people that work on themselves, and you can see whatever version of success flow from that.
Yeah.
And then you can see the people that are obsessed with making money in a certain way, and their self-care slips, and they have to come back, and they do the yo-yo. And I was there. I did it many, many times. But it's like if your primary focus is the self and making sure that you're healthy and well and balanced, then success will flow from that, abundance will flow from that, the right contracts will flow from that. And if you've got to do it by yourself, do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Awesome.
What about you?
What was the question again? Okay, so
The journey of living your life
Yeah,
authentically.
okay, so we had a bit of a conversation the other night, which is like, you know, there's this perspective of like, I'm going to do what's right for me.
Yep.
And look after myself, and that's the most important thing. I can't give to you if I'm not giving to me first. And that as a concept, I think depending on your experience, can be true, but it can also be hard because of your conditioning.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I find about that is that we are a tribe.
Yes.
And for centuries, for millennia, it's never been about what's best for you. It's what's best for the tribe. And if you find yourself outside of the tribe, then you're in trouble. Today we get to find our own tribe. And so because there's so many different communities, that if you're that way inclined, this feels right for me. Say, for example, the spiritual community, right? It's like, yes, okay, that feels right for me, and I'm going to join that. So there's a power in being able to fit in, to be able to develop relationships with people. And I think it's oftentimes I'll look at things in a polarizing way to see where the middle is. So for example, I'm just going to do what's right for me. Fuck you. I don't care what you think. This is what I'm doing, and that's it. Fuck you. Right? That's the polarizing. The other side is, I'm not doing anything for me. What do you need? Can I do this for you? And the path of that is like, where is it healthy, not only for you, but the people around you too.
Balance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's like, don't get caught up in and this is for me, this is what's right for me, I'm just going to do it, blah, 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 blah. But don't neglect that. Don't be scared to say, actually, I need to do this for me. Or not even say it, just do it for you.
Yep.
You know, because that's the other thing. It's like,
Do it for you without the fuck you component.
yeah, and without the ability, without the need to justify it to somebody.
Yep.
Because oftentimes, it's like the people around us need things from us, like because we're a community, right? And oftentimes those needs are unspoken. You just know. It's
Yeah.
like, they don't have to come out and say, I need this from you, can you do this? It can be very subtle, but you know, and they know. It's like...
that you know that they know.
And now it's like, oh, actually, I've got this on, I'm just doing this. So undercurrent is like, so you're not going to do that for me, are you? Oh, okay. You know? So it's like this thing around... I think, and relationships, human relationships are codependent in a way.
Yep.
So it's this, how do you navigate it? And I think I've had some clarity around, you know, I want to support people. I want to give to people. It's part of that fills me up.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just do that. And when it's time to not do that, don't feel guilty about not doing that. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Just say, oh, I'm doing this. Or actually, I'm not calling. Or I'm not doing... This is what I'm doing, and it's good.
Yeah.
Without the component of, I'm doing what's right for me. You don't see it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know...
That whole need to explain yourself.
Yeah.
We had this discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
We've been
No
having
no explanation is needed. I'm just not available.
Yeah. I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
Is that okay for you?
Yeah.
It's like we have to go over and do all the conversations all over again.
Yeah.
All the things we've been unconsciously doing for each other.
Yeah.
We just sit down and go, does that work?
Yeah.
Is it good that I do that for you? Or
Yeah.
can I take that back?
Yeah.
We have to like go, I know even partnerships that are just sitting down to have every conversation again. Are we doing the chores in the way that we want?
Yeah.
Are we managing our time in the way that we want?
Yeah.
I've been doing this thing for you because I thought I needed to. Do I actually need to do it, or can you do that for yourself? Can you take that back? And they're the conversations that seem to be changing everything. It's like communication, but not over communication.
Yeah.
And just re-establishing and checking in
Yeah.
and having the power of language there.
Yeah.
I think that's a key.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, we are on a journey. There is an unfolding happening for every single person.
Absolutely.
And that relationship to what it is for you is so personal, but it's like how you invest in it, the people that you surround yourself with, the growth, the opportunities for growth. It's like, okay, this situation's come up. One of the big things that has hit me in the last week is the concept of alchemy, right? The concept of taking lead and turning it into gold.
Oh, okay. So I want to stop the conversation there. Let's marinate in alchemy for a little while, and let's start the next episode right there in that frequency. This has been Spoken Synergy. I hope you're resonating with the new flavour of what we're bringing you. Thank you to Angel. Thank you to Ryan from Mountain Peak Media. Join us next time and we will embark on alchemy as our first topic of conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.